What's up, Taiwan? I'm Reece with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's presidential race is now officially underway. Louise Rott reports from the Central Election Commission.
Taiwan is entering its official election season. The Central Election Commission has just announced the names of the presidential and vice presidential candidates on the ballot. There's no surprises there, but Taiwan's 28-day official election campaign period kicks off now.
竞选活动的期间呢，将自112年的12月16日开始，一直到113年的1月12日为止。
That period means special rules are now starting. For example, any campaign material, whether that's banners, flags or billboards, has to be marked clearly as promotional. Having to abide by those rules are the candidates from the three main parties, Lai Ching-te and Hsiao from the ruling DPP or Democratic Progressive Party, Hou You-yi and Zhao Xiaokang from the main opposition Kuomintang or KMT, and Ko Wen-je and his running mate Cynthia Wu from the third party, the Taiwan People's Party. You may have thought that campaigning had been going on for months already in Taiwan's elections, but now it's set to ramp up as the candidates rally to convince Taiwan's 19.5 million eligible voters that they're the best on the ballot. Joseph Wu, Yu Chen-lai and Louise Watt at the Central Election Commission for TaiwanPlus.
A new poll shows the DPP's Hsiao is the most popular of Taiwan's vice presidential candidates. The poll by news outlet TVBS puts Hsiao's favourability at 45%. The KMT's Zhao Xiaokang came in second with 32%, and the TPP's Cynthia Wu came last with 16%. The pollsters also found that Zhao was the most actively disliked, but that Wu's unpopularity has been rising the fastest. As election day nears, many voters are figuring out ways to get back home. Unlike in many countries, Taiwan doesn't do absentee voting. John Van Trieste explains.
Democracy at work again. Soon, voters in Taiwan will line up at the ballot box to choose a president and lawmakers. Many will travel far to get to their polling place, some for most of the day. That's because in Taiwan, you can't necessarily vote where you live. Instead, you vote wherever your family is registered. When election day comes, that's where you have to go, even if it's at the other end of the country. Try to vote anywhere else, and you'll be turned away. It is possible to break off from your family's registry and declare your own household, but it's a bureaucratic process, and you have to pay more tax. So most people who've moved away just make the trek home to vote. The system is especially hard on Taiwanese citizens living abroad, who have to stay registered in Taiwan and fly back before Election Day. Taiwan isn't the only country with this kind of family registry system, but it's unique in not allowing early or absentee voting of any kind.
Unlike South Korea and Japan, Taiwan has never actually developed an alternative procedure. Part of the reason for that is that there's concerns about fraud or voter impersonation.
It may keep elections transparent and quick, but not all citizens think it should be quite so rigid. One big push to change things came ahead of elections last year, back when COVID-19 rules were still in force. These rules kept thousands who were still in quarantine from being able to go out and cast their ballot.
So there was a lot of criticism directed at the Central Election Commission then for not developing an alternative mechanism for people to vote. And the CEC's response was, well, we don't have legal authority to do that.
And so things stayed as they are. This year has seen another call for change, this time from prison inmates. Although this group is legally allowed to vote, they're prevented from doing so in practice.
2005年以后，褫夺公权里面已经把不能投票这个规定拿掉了，所以其实受刑人其实他从头到尾就是有投票权的，在已经有18年的时间，他们有投票权，但是没有投到票。
But like a failed prison break, lawsuits to change this have made it through the court, then hit a wall. Taiwan's constitutional court has rejected a suit by NGO Prison Watch that would require prisons to set up polling places, effectively a form of absentee voting. Prison Watch says it hasn't given up the fight. It even says there's been some signs, though disappointingly small ones, that things could still change.
其实在前2年的时候，行政院有推一个公民投票法，是全国不在籍投票的。但很可惜的是说，这一届的那个立法委员到这是最后一个会期了，都没有让这个法案就是真的有通过，而且也比较不敢去碰。
But it says Taiwan's lawmakers and the public more generally just aren't comfortable with the idea of absentee voting.
所以我们以前选举其实也是蛮黑暗的，有那种突然关灯票就丢下去的，或者是说有那种很多作票的情形。那也因此就是会让我们对于像是就是通讯投票的信心不足。
But that was decades ago, when Taiwan was still under authoritarian rule. Since then, it's become a robust and transparent democracy. But it still has a way to go to ensure all citizens can reasonably exercise their right to take part and have their voice heard. Howard Zhang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's defense ministry has thanked the US for passing a major defense spending bill with funding for Taiwan. The US House of Representatives approved the National Defense Authorization Act. It allows for almost $900 billion in military spending next year. Nearly $15 billion of that would be directed to the Asia-Pacific region to counter growing Chinese aggression. This would help strengthen Taiwan's defense and ramp up regional cooperation between the US, Australia, and the UK. The bill will now be sent to President Joe Biden to be signed into law. South Korea and Japan scrambled fighter jets to monitor foreign planes near Korea's airspace. 2 Chinese and 4 Russian military planes were spotted in South Korea's Air Defense Identification Zone, a kind of buffer for its military. Those jets did not violate the country's territorial airspace. A town in central Taiwan is celebrating a 100-year-old Taoist festival. Tiffany Wong has the story.
Sending up a signal for luck with the Chinese symbol for good fortune. These residents of Puli, a small town in central Taiwan, are celebrating an over 100-year-old Taoist tradition to bring peace and good health to their town. Known as the Qingjiao Festival, it's a week-long ceremony held every 3 years. Residents pay a small tithe to help build these altars, where they welcome deities, including Taiwan's sea goddess Mazu, to the town. It's a practice that's been recognized as an intangible cultural asset by the county government.
那这123年的当中，它从来都没有中断过。前埔里镇的镇民几乎是总动员，所以因此才能够得到评审委员的青睐，所以列为无形文化资产。
One of the major customs is adopting a vegetarian diet for the week. This year, some locals got entrepreneurial and opened new vegetarian shops.
我跟我朋友是想说这一段时间有空，对，就想说来尝试做一下这个生意看看，这样，对。这几天生意还好？这算是我们第2天啊，就是也算刚开始，目前的起头算是还不错。
And while visitors may not have expected to be caught in the middle of this local event, some didn't seem to mind.
这个时阵可能较歹做啊，较歹做吼。啊，无来入境随俗啊，安尼啦。
Despite the food restrictions, it's one of the most exciting times of year to visit the town. And these dedicated residents will make sure that this tradition continues for years to come. Dolphine Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan and the US share a common national sport, baseball. Many players in Taiwan dream of playing the sport professionally overseas. Leslie Liao followed one athlete who moved to the US at the age of 15 and worked his way into the pro baseball system there.
26-year-old Lyle Lin knew from a young age that he wanted to play baseball professionally. He was inspired by Taiwanese baseball greats like Major League pitcher Chen Ming-wang.
So growing up, definitely watching Chen Ming-wang for the Yankees, in the early morning before the school.
At just 15 years old, Lyle moved to the United States by himself to pursue his dream, a decision his family was unsure about.
First, they were like, what are you thinking? But, thankfully my sister was there at the same time, so she was able to take care of me.
Lyle first went to high school in California, where he lived with a host family. Then, in 2016, he made history as the first ever Taiwanese player to be drafted by a Major League Baseball team. The Seattle Mariners picked Lin, but he declined the offer and decided to continue his education, accepting a scholarship from Arizona State University.
I got offered from Arizona State, and then I thought for me, what's better path, go to Arizona State first and then get my education.
While many Taiwanese players make their way into Major League Baseball, they usually sign directly from Taiwan, like Ling Shen-en, who got picked up by the Cincinnati Reds earlier this year. Lyle is the first Taiwanese person to work his way up through American high school and make it into the league through the amateur draft system. Ling was drafted again in 2018, this time by the Houston Astros, but he once again declined a contract in order to see out his education.
There's some, I guess, a money issue because I want a higher signing bonus. I got drafted later, so I was like, okay, I can go back to ASU, keep getting better and get drafted higher for the next year.
Once he finished college in 2019, he was drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks, the 2023 World Series runners-up. As he was based in Arizona, this worked out well for him.
It was great because remember I got drafted and I saw the spring training complex in the Google map literally 15 minutes away. I'm like, okay, easy drive for sure.
Lefty delivers, and that's hit to deep left field. Martinez is going back, and that is gone.
Lyle played for the Diamondbacks minor league teams until spring this year. He left the organization and got picked up by the Toronto Blue Jays, playing with that team's minor league club in Vancouver.
Like I said, I was a free agent for like a week. The Blue Jays needed a catcher. Their minor league organization needed a catcher.
Though Ling has dreams of making it as a baseball star in the U.S., he hasn't forgotten his roots. Earlier this year, he played for Taiwan's national team at the Asian Games in Hangzhou, China. Lyle's contract with the Blue Jays is currently uncertain, but he remains optimistic about the future.
I signed a year contract with the Blue Jays. Let's see if they renew with my contract, around December, who knows. So I believe baseball guy, you know what I mean? So just put my head down, keep working hard. I'm sure the opportunity will come.
Ling knew since he was little that baseball was his destiny. He worked hard to get to where he is, and he set a few milestones along the way. Ling has big dreams, and he's determined to get there one catch, one hit, and one home run at a time. Alex Chen and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Shohei Otani has signed the biggest contract in sports history. The Japanese baseball player took the stage with his new team during a press conference at their stadium.
明確な勝利を目指すビジョンと、豊富な球団の歴史を持つ、このロサンゼルスドジャースの一員になれることを、今心より、嬉しく思うと同時に今すごく興奮しています。
Ohtani's groundbreaking contract guarantees him $700 million for 10 years of play with the team. However, $680 million of that will be deferred to between 2034 and 2043, so the Dodgers can bring more talent onto the team. Ohtani's annual salary of $70 million is more than the entire payroll of some teams. A record 33,000 invasive green iguanas have been caught in Pingtung this year. The animals have no natural predators and have spread across the country's centre and south. Conditions there allow them to reproduce quickly. Although eradication programs are in place, the animals continue to damage crops and enter populated areas. Hundreds of land crabs have died in Taiwan's south. Renovation work on an ancient trail stopped the crabs from reaching the coast to breed. It's thought that they were killed by exposure to the sun and dehydration. The local township office says it will remove a new cement retaining wall to give the crabs better access to the shore. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. As we say goodbye today, folks in Singapore are bidding farewell to the City Zoo's 2-year-old panda cub, Le before he travels to China. I'm Reece, take care and see you next time.